Well, NBA teams have been having their press conferences for introducing their new draft picks to their franchises, to the local media, to the fan bases. So today we got the Lakers version of that. They only had 2 picks. One of them was Dalton Knecht. The other one, Bronny James. So
when they were on the stage together, how small is Bronny James? I mean, he looks tiny.
It was so unfair and such a disservice to him to be listed. And I don't know if it was his idea, but he was listed at 6'4" since he was in high school, and then he goes to the NBA Combine and he's 6'1".
Yeah,
and this, I guess, folds right into what we're about to talk about. Who do you think you're fooling? That is the subject of this here. I think that we're all past the point of thinking that Bronny truly earned or made this on merit, that this was anything other than a dream orchestrated by his dad from years ago. Yeah. But here we are today, and to their credit, they're allowed to do this, the Lakers. LeBron's allowed to pull these strings if he wants. The Lakers can say no. They're adults. LeBron can say that it has to be this way, and if it's not, I'm gonna leave. He has that power. He has that power. He wielded that power. But we're here now, and it seems like the Lakers are trying to insist that things aren't the way that we clearly know they are. First, I will give you J.J. Redick. Here's how he responded when asked about Bronny James, saying that, yeah, this was in fact earned.
With Bronny, I want to clarify one thing you just said, which is Rob and I did not give Bronny anything. Bronny has earned this, right? Bronny talks about his hard work. Bronny has earned this through hard work. And for us, prioritizing player development, we view Bronny as like case study 1, because his base level of feel, athleticism, point of attack defender, shooting, passing, there's a lot to like about his game. And as we sort of build out our player development program holistically, he's going to have a great opportunity to become an excellent NBA player.
This is where the whole thing is really, I kind of feel for the kid. Because it's a joke. It's an embarrassment.
Well, and it's a joke for the brand new head coach, too. Well, he has to toe this line.
Like, Klay Thompson flat out said, I don't want to go to the Lakers. Like, the Lakers have become a little bit of a joke of an organization. And, look, they won a title with LeBron, and I love how we conveniently forget that. Like, LeBron James coming to L.A. was a success.
Bubble doesn't count.
Whatever, dude. You came to L.A. and you won a title. The thing is, for God's sake.
Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished. But from here on out, it really is kind of a joke of an organization, and it's viewed that way around the league. The only thing it has going for it is the fact that it's in Los Angeles, and people want to be a Laker. But I mean, from Anthony Davis being pushed there, obviously by Clutch, to LeBron James firing and hiring whatever coach he wants, to completely the mismanagement of every coaching search that you have,
hiring his podcast co-host,
and to now this hunk of crap. Like, and you can sit up here all you want, but like this idea that this is anything other, and by the way, you're getting people to go along with it. Like Woj, who supposedly is this respected NBA guy, went on a rant on draft day about how nepotism, I don't want to hear one word about nepotism because
it's everywhere.
Because it's everywhere.
That doesn't make this not extreme nepotism.
And now you're sitting up there and you're saying that, it's a player development program, but you signed him to a fully guaranteed deal so he can't go down to the G League. If it was part of the developmental program, he would be in the G League.
How are you going to develop sitting on the bench in close games?
At some point, and this is where the LeBron thing is interesting, at some point you are going to have to, there is an end to this. At some point, LeBron James is going to have to face the facts that his son is not a good basketball player. Not at this level. I mean, the idea that like you sit up there and you say that he earned it, he averaged like 4 points a game. Look, it's a really cool story that you wanted to play with your kid and now you get to play with your kid, but at some point it's not LeBron James's plaything anymore. It's an NBA team. And you're forcing your head coach, you're forcing your general manager now to go up there and spew this line of crap simply because your star player who's 40 years old is demanding it of you. I honestly think it just makes the Lakers as an organization look really bad. And for a group that is already kind of looked at a little side-eyed around the rest of the league, I just don't know how this sits with everyone else in the league when you're talking about how can you sit here and say that you're actually serious about trying to do something when it feels like a lot of your energy just goes into kissing 40-year-old LeBron James' ass to the point where you drafted his 4 point a game, 6'1" son, and then have to stand up there and talk about your player development program? What?
I mean, and
You imagine in Portland if you drafted a 6'1" guard who can't play point guard, a 6'1" shooting guard. You drafted him in the second round, gave him a guaranteed contract so you can't send him down to the G League, and then had the balls. Joe Cronin, imagine if he stood up there and talked about a 6'1", 4-point a game guard and was like, he's the cornerstone of our developmental program.
and basically he's the poster child for how we can develop and leverage. Like,
and he
no,
earned this?
no.
I mean, I've never seen anything quite like it. I really haven't.
And the thing
it's
is,
quite stunning.
I don't think you have to go down this road. I like. They're the Lakers. He's LeBron James. Can't you just call a spade a spade? I know you're not going to come out and say, yeah, this was nepotism and we're owning it, but can't you say his dad is a cornerstone of this franchise and we're going to develop his son? Period.
Personally, I've been out on this.
Could you not do that?
No, personally, I've been out on this move since I heard that it was going to be made, and seeing it made, I hate this. I look at it in a vacuum and compare it to the only other father-son instance in a professional game that's ever happened. The last one was Ken Griffey Jr., Ken Griffey Sr., and Sr. actually still had the ability to hit home runs.
That's the difference.
Yeah, and when you look at this...
Both of them were capable. Bronny is not capable of being a quality NBA player right now.
And when you look at
He's not capable of being any NBA
Yes,
player.
correct.
Both of you are right. And then when you look at the way the Lakers are acting like this, I would maybe be a tiny bit less out on it if they do what you were just saying, is just call a spade a spade. Although I do believe they would get in trouble for some kind of NBA anti-tampering violations that they committed. I'm sure that there's some stupid motivation.
I just am
rule-breaking avoidance behind that.
It is the most amazing thing, to the point of calling teams, do not draft us, we're going to go to Australia, refusing to work out with people, and yet you're still pushing the narrative that nothing was given, this was all earned. I want to see how far they take this. I mean, I guess Giannis's brother, they found a way to get him, and he just sits on the bench and doesn't play. And
plays garbage time, and that's that. And if that's what LeBron wants for the end of his legacy, then great. I guess you can have that. But it feels like now that it's this unserious dog and pony show where they're trying to tell us one thing when we really know that it's another.
Well, at least with Giannis's brother, you just never hear from him.
Sure.
Like he sits on the end of the bench, he waves a towel, and you hear nothing.
And he's kind of a punchline, honestly.
Yeah.
Like NBA Twitter has a field day with that dude because he's not good at basketball. Just like Bronny's not good at basketball and is going to become a punchline himself.
He wasn't handed a guaranteed contract either. I believe he was low 50s in the draft.
And he was a G League guy.
Yeah, and he had to go on a two-way. LeBron James's kid said, no, I will not do that.
It is, and it's just, I'm fascinated to see how this plays out, and if LA just kind of turns into just a punchline. And in some ways, I shouldn't feel bad for the kid because the kid's fine. He's got $1 billion because his dad has $1 billion. The kid's got Nike deals. He's the only pick ever at number 55 to come out with a Nike ad right away. He makes a bunch of NIL money. He's fine. But just the idea of, I've never had nepotism. No one's ever given me anything because my family isn't anybody. And I don't know. I would feel really weird. Like in some ways it's like, you're the guy that thinks the stripper really likes you. You're the guy
that's a great call.
You're the guy that
analogy.
thinks the hooker is in love with you. Like, seriously, like, does he really believe that when he stands up at that press conference and in the way he talks?
He can't, right?
I think he does. Like, again, I believe me, there's plenty of guys who think strippers and hookers love him, and that's kind of what this is. And I'm interested to see what happens the first time he goes out in a summer league game, or God forbid he gets into an NBA game and just gets. He couldn't really stay on the court at USC. I mean, I don't know how this ends, but I can't believe that it ends well. And, if LeBron's 40, if he's got one more year, like as soon as LeBron's gone, do they just cut the kid and be like, dude, this is adorable, but you get the hell out of our facility. And then eventually do they have to come out and be like, all right, like, look, LeBron's gone now. He retired, and look, we were blink twice if you're okay. We were held hostage.
Well, a lot of people believe the only reason that Bronny came out of the college game when he did was because this draft was so weak. Obviously, the clock is ticking on LeBron as well, but I think people think he could play 2 more years. That wouldn't be a problem, but he would have a harder time being justified being drafted if he'd come out next year. Bronny was asked about that specifically at the press conference today. Here's how he responded.
You played 1 year at USC and joined the team, after the season already began. What about the timing to come into this year's draft compelled you to make that decision? And then how much of a consideration was, well, my father's still an active player?
For me, I always try to put that narrative of me trying to get my name out for myself. But just coming in and trying to get better, Rob has told me that there's a great development system here. So I just want to come in and get my work in and get better every day. But I never really had a thought of, me going to play with my dad, but that's always, there to, take part of. But that wasn't a main focus of mine to do.
Excuse me?
God, I wish I was at that press conference.
That is the only focus. Like, what are we doing? Again, how dumb do you think we are?
Just
and maybe you're right. Maybe he does believe it. I don't know.
It's so weird that we can all go along with a lie and no one, I guess everyone's just afraid of LeBron because NBA analysts won't do this. People that cover the team won't do this. Dude, you averaged 4 points a game and you came off the bench for the second worst team in the Pac-12 and you entered the NBA draft and stayed in the NBA draft.
Way earlier than you had any business doing.
You refused to work out for any team other than LA and Phoenix.
But didn't give a second thought to the fact your dad's still an active
told
player.
Everyone else that you wouldn't go to them if they drafted you, and yet you have the ball. This is why it makes me not want to like the kid, because it's not his fault, but
he's stuck in the middle of it, and he's gonna be the face of it all.
You never had a thought of playing with your dad?
Come on.
I don't know, man. It's weird, and I'm kind of rooting for the crash and burn. I want to see this goes, and I also want to see what his teammates say. Like,
it feels a little state-run media-y, where it's like you're gonna say this, and you're gonna say this, and you're gonna play that part, and like everyone's gonna be okay with it.
It's like a Kim Jong-un, Vladimir Putin sort of thing. Yeah, here's a window and an elevator shaft, and I'd hate for you to fall out of one, but like in the NFL. And again, I'm not like I'm around a bunch of NFL or NBA locker rooms. I used to go down and cover the team a bunch. So, I don't know. Maybe this is different. But, dude, NFL locker rooms are brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Brutal. And maybe NBA locker rooms are a softer, safer space. And maybe LeBron just has such pull where it doesn't matter and no one dares question the kid, right?
And that would have to be the only major difference, that anybody else who would maybe act that way towards him thinks, I don't want to get on LeBron's bad side.
I'm just trying to think what it would be like if someone on an NFL roster, there's those NFL roster spots, much like NBA spots, you get down to that 53rd spot. For someone, that's a big deal.
Yes.
Yep.
For the guys that didn't get drafted at 55th, that was a big deal.
It's a big deal. And for to go into the locker room, know that you have a spot and you have no business being there, dude, the NFL
and there's no risk of it being taken based on performance.
You would be ragged every day, all day. And people would rag, like if your kid, I guess like an older player, I guess it'd have to be a quarterback, like Tom Brady's kid, whatever. I'm telling you, dude, they would, as much as they love Tom Brady and Tom Brady, everyone fears, dude, they would make fun of Tom Brady. It's just NFL locker rooms are different. So maybe NBA groups and LeBron is just that powerful, and he is the sun, and everyone else rotates around him, and no one dares. But it will be interesting when they're on the road. This is just gonna be weird. This is the Real Housewives of LA, but in basketball form.
It's really strange.
If you're Bronny James, do you really want to be LeBron's bitch? I know it's your dad, right? But that's what you are. You're the team.
This is like the kid who pretends that he likes fishing because it's going to make his dad feel good. I'm not saying Bronny doesn't love basketball. He probably does. I'm not saying he hasn't worked hard like JJ Redick said. He probably has. But does he really want this? Or is he just doing it because it's dad's dream?
I don't know, dude. It's just this is one of the more interesting stories, and it's gonna get covered a lot, and it's strange because the kid's never gonna play in the NBA, and he's the 55th overall pick. But I'll bet you that he gets covered more so than 90% of the league, which again is gonna be weird. That if you're on the Laker team and your goal is to win a championship, and you're Austin Reeves or Anthony Davis, and you spend half your time answering questions on a kid that good and damn well shouldn't be sitting in that locker room. I wonder if eventually, especially if it gets off to a rough start and LA doesn't win and LeBron's hurt, or
what if he's DNP for the first dozen games and people start asking about locker room chemistry?
And that's what I'm saying is like if LA loses, and look, by the way, LA didn't make the playoffs last year, so just saying, like if LA is sputtering and they're 6 games below 500, they're out of playoff contention, and this is a storyline. I wonder what other players on the roster are going to eventually have to say.
And as Schulte pointed out, the last time we saw this was with the Griffies. This is a totally different day and age that we're living in now, and that was really cool and unique back then, and it worked. And this could be, as you mentioned, a total disaster. I, for one, will be interested to see how it plays out, and also how JJ Redick is supposed to navigate this whole thing. He's supposed to get him minutes at the end of the night. What?
They can't give him the edict to play him.
No.
Right?
I wouldn't say to play him, but at what point do you throw him in the game when you're down by 20, and do you put him ahead of somebody else who doesn't need the work? I don't know. These are all things that a first-time head coach is going to have to figure out on his first job, trying to keep the biggest superstar in the world happy. It's a nightmare.
I hope that they don't have the balls to try to go to Redick and be like, you're going to play this kid, because then you're just getting into coaching malpractice.
I'm wondering if anybody's going to have the balls to actually ask a follow-up question. Perfect follow-up to that Bronny answer we just heard. So did your agent not tell other teams other than the Lakers that you were going to go to Australia and
So
play?
if it wasn't about your dad, why didn't you work out for the other teams?
It does seem like a very simple follow-up
Seriously.
question.
Yeah.
Why
100%.
did you refuse to work out for other teams? Why did you refuse to take a 2-way contract if it's about development? And
Watching how the media handles this will be fascinating.
And that's the weird part. Again, these seem like very fair follow-up questions that any other player would get, but no one will ask them. And again, it goes back to how much fear and leverage does LeBron James have?
And for anybody to compare this to anything but a father-son instance playing on the same field or court together, in my opinion, is absolutely disingenuous. Yes, you can say that an executive has helped his kid get a spot on a roster, that brothers are there. You're right. Keldon Blevins, the cousin of Damian Lillard. If any of you can come to me and say, oh, that's the exact same as one of the most powerful basketball players in the history of the game, basically making this happen and making fake history, you're crazy.